Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? Since I've done a video. Couple of weeks? A little bit more? Oh my goodness me. Yeah, when you deal with this kind of crap, sometimes you just need to take a break. I needed to get away from all of this nonsense, which I'll be talking about today, don't you worry. And do some streaming. Have a good time, you know? Chill. Take your bra off. Last night, ladies, perusing the old Twatterverse and came across a tweet from the Quartering, which I'll show in a moment. And it just made me, because it was The Last of Us related, it just took me back to everything about The Last of Us. Now, I want to say one thing. The Last of Us 2013, whenever it was, 2014, was a phenomenal game. Absolutely phenomenal game. It was one of my favorite games of all time. To say that it's been soured by The Last of Us Part 2 would be an understatement, but before that came along, I would have nothing but praise to say about the Last of Us. It's a very well constructed game, and it had a great narrative. And the narrative was one, and I have to stress this, the narrative was one that everybody could understand, everybody could empathize with, everybody could relate with. The story of a broken man who lost his daughter at the beginning of an apocalyptic outbreak, and 20 years later had withered away, lost his humanity, existed in a dog-eat-dog world, and was suddenly put in a position where he had to ferry a girl very similar age to his daughter Sarah across the country on some premise that she was gonna save humanity and bring a cure to this infestation that had taken over the world. And along the way, as the story progressed and as they went through various trials and tribulations together, they bonded. Something he didn't want to do, something I don't think Ellie wanted to do, really. And by the end of the game, he really looked upon Ellie as his surrogate daughter. And so the decision that he makes at the end of the game to save her, instead of letting the Fireflies, who screwed him over because they were the bad guys, that was unceremoniously switched in The Last of Us Part 2. Retconned, as they say. Because the Fireflies were the bad guys, he decided to save Ellie, to save his surrogate daughter. He made the right decision. Last of Us 2 comes along, and it's just one of the most pathetically poorly written pieces of chode I've ever had the misfortune to play. And then, of course, they announced that they're going to be making a Last of Us TV series. Now, as you can see here, I've got the cast lined up, and they already made some pretty what's the nice word I can use? Terrible changes. They, first of all, hired Pedro Pascal to play Joel. I don't think Pedro Pascal personifies Joel. Joel is, he's a rugged southern dude. I would have seen more of a Dennis Quaid from 20 years ago. I know Dennis Quaid's too old now, but Dennis Quaid from 20 years ago playing him. Somebody with more... Well, Pedro Pascal's like a bit of a gnome, and he just doesn't seem to carry that gravitas that Joel had. You can see, by the way, that Joel, who was voiced by Troy Baker, and Ashley Johnson, who voiced Ellie, and Jeffrey Pierce, who voiced Tommy, are all going to be in the show in minor roles. Obviously not the roles that they were in the games. So putting Pedro Pascal as Joel was a red flag in itself. He's a massive activist cuckold, a bit like Neil Cuckman, or Drunkman. I don't know what his Cuckman is. Cuckers. We like to call him cuckers. Neil Cuckman probably brought him on to do that. Ellie was to be played by Bella Ramsey, who had her role in the Game of the Thrones. And again, another casting choice. You're just like, Now, the reason why you kind of like, is one of the reasons why The Last of Us was such a popular game was because of how believable Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson really made Joel and Ellie appear. They put so much life with their role into those characters. And so the casting choices, there's a lot of depth, what I'm trying to say, when it comes to those two. And with the casting of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, to me, it kind of felt very superficial. You know, Pedro Pascal had popularity with The Mandalorian. He had popularity with Game of Thrones. And Bella Ramsey had Game of Thrones. So it was kind of like a popularist choice, maybe, as opposed to did they really suit the roles? Who knows? Who knows? And then let's have a look at the Quarterings tweet from last night. So this is Sarah from the video game. This is Joel's daughter, who's tragically killed at the beginning. It's not really a big spoiler. She's killed right at the beginning of the game. When the outbreak happens, a soldier accidentally shoots her. This is Sarah in The Last of Us TV show. Now, I'm just so tired of this shit. I'm so fucking tired of this shit. Why did they have to do this? Why did they have to cast a mixed race girl to play the role of a white blonde girl from the show? Now, you could say, well, they're trying to appeal. They're trying to appeal to a larger audience. Well, The Last of Us sold how many copies? At least 17,500 million. Sorry, so 17,500 wouldn't have been that good, would it? 17.5 million odd copies the game sold. I think that's a pretty big audience, potentially, if you could capture this. Now, obviously, you're not going to capture all of them to watch the show, but it's pretty big. But the reason you've already race changed Joel. Now you've race changed, obviously, his daughter, because you've race changed Joel. So now you're going to race change his daughter, which means that Joel was married now to a black woman as opposed to a white woman. And we're already playing fucking pathetic ideological games before the show's even released. Now, the weird thing is the show comes out next month, January, because it's December the 1st today. It comes out next month. And we've barely seen a scratch on it. Now, this is part of a trailer on IMDb. A vignette. And it's been written by somebody Mazin who wrote Chernobyl, which did very well, got rave reviews. Doesn't mean that it's going to be lightning striking twice, but, you know, Mazin promises that any changes will fill things out and expand, not to undo, but enhance, which is already horseshit, because You've already undone Joel. You've already undone Joel's daughter. You're adding extra characters into the game. Why you needed to do that, I don't understand. So how did race changing Joel and his daughter enhance and not undo? Because you're already undoing one of the fundamental characters, which is Joel. Unfortunately, we're all getting excited for when he does get his head smashed in with a golf club, but that's just by the by. So this is horseshit. Now they have added additional characters which weren't in the game. How they're actually going to interact, don't know. But I got a pretty, call me cynical, a pretty decent idea that when we start the show, because we get Tess for 5 episodes, Tess gets killed. We're going to get Tess leading around Joel for 5 episodes. And then we're going to get Merle Dandridge, who plays Marlene. And she actually voiced Marlene in the games as well. She's then going to be the strong woman that takes over from there. It's just going to be a mess. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It's got Neil Cuckman writing it as well as Mazin. So he's going to be shoving his ideological mate with his activist nature to the forefront. I just don't understand. This is the weird thing. You take something that's popular. You take something that's done incredibly well. And I'm just going to be a dick now. But if you think those 17.5 million people that bought your game are just fucking white, then you're an absolute knob jockey. In that 17.5 million people that bought the first game, there's going to be men, there's going to be women, because there's only 2 sexes. There's going to be black people, white people, brown people. Whatever other shade you want to put in there, people that bought the game and saw the story and related to everything in the story, because it's the themes which grab people, not the color of their fucking skin. And if you're saying that you're trying to do this because you want to be inclusive and diverse, then shut your fucking cake-o. Cuckman's already got a 12-inch fucking dildo rammed up his ass and loving every second of it. You are doing it out of, again, some vapid virtue buzz that it gives you, some drug enhancement that it gives you, because you think you're being so incredible. And when you start, well, and we've said this so many times, when you start playing with the superficial, guess what? You lose the complexity. Because instead of promoting your show like we've seen with Rings of Power and other stuff like that, instead of promoting your show by saying we got some great stories, we got some great characters, great locations, there's going to be twists and turns, you're going to not know which fucking leg to stand on. This show's going to rock your world. What do we get? I'm the first dwarf female of color. And that's literally a call to the wild. Oh, what's that? What's that I hear? Oh, right. Okay, hold on. It's the new Rings of Power. Okay, it's going to be dog shit. It's going to be dog shit. Because you're so bothered with the superficial, you miss the complex. And that's why the writing is so poor in Hollywood nowadays, because they're writing so vapidly. They're writing so superficially. There's no characterization. Woman, great. Woman cannot do bad. Ergo, woman has no development. Man, masculinity, toxic. Man, no fighty. Man, inept. Inept. I have no doubt whatsoever. No doubt. Prove me wrong. The Last of Us TV show is going to be woke, nihilist, misery porn is the only way that I can describe it, with a dreary cast that's been literally put together to tick boxes because Hollywood is fucked in the head. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye for now.